Hi, I'm Jay Richards. We are here at the COSM Technology Summit 2023 in Bellevue, Washington, and I am joined by neuroscientist Elena Sergeeva. Elena got her PhD in neuroscience in St. Petersburg, Russia. She's lived in the United States since 2015. She was a postdoc at Harvard. She now has an affiliation at Tufts University, and she's the co-founder of Tiamat Labs. She's here at COSM actually talking about longevity research, which is what she focuses on. So let's talk a little bit about that. Elena, thanks for joining me.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Yeah, so there's a very provocative panel you just had. Matt Schultz, longtime friend of Discovery Institute, was moderating. So first of all, what's your specialty and how does it bear on this question on longevity research?
Okay, well, it's a good question. Actually, I have quite broad background in biology, neuroscience, cell biology, molecular biology, behavioral, computational. And recently, I started to be interested in artificial intelligence. And for that reason, I joined Mike Levin lab at Tufts because he is known in his great work in embodied minds and intelligences. So it quite resonates with my interests. And with Mike Levin, he is doing a lot of different interesting things. And one project which I started with him is related to longevity and anti-aging.
Yep.
So basically, what we study, and I explained that during the panel, so we look at bioelectricity of aging, how bioelectricity in the body changes with age.
Bioelectricity.
Bioelectricity.
Okay.
And we're trying to manipulate that. So what if we can change bioelectrical signaling between cells in our body so that it would not be fuzzy? It's likely becoming fuzzy with age.
Right.
So communication between cells is disturbed, and that's why we have a whole bunch of diseases and our anatomical structure degrades and all that kind of aging effects. And if we're able to make this bioelectrical pattern more clear and improve signal-to-noise ratio, we probably can extend lifespan and treat diseases and also treat cancer.
Okay, so let's think about it, because of course people are talking about, what exactly we do with respect to technology to increase aging. So there's a lot of talk about telomeres or this sort of assumption that it's somewhere in DNA sequences. You're talking about the bioelectrical communication between cells. What is the sort of physical source of that communication?
Yeah, so the current view in biomedicine is all about hardware, our genes and building blocks, proteins, and signaling pathways. So we're trying to manipulate genes so that they would synthesize different proteins, and so we hope to improve state of our body.
Yeah, sort of downstream effects of these hardware.
Exactly, yeah, to treat diseases and so on. But there is complementary view that it's not only about hardware, but software, because look, how we develop during our life. We all start our life, our journey, with a single quiescent oocyte.
Yes.
And oocyte contains some gene information, and it can build proteins, and we can form multicellular organism, but we're not just a bag of cells.
Right,
We're
exactly.
actually very well anatomically structured. But where is this information?
Right, exactly.
Is contained. So, and there is no any single place in genome where this information about body plan and anatomical structure would be. And it goes to very extreme. For example, you take oocyte or early embryo, and you perturb it somehow. For example, like cut it, and it will give rise to twins, to two separate organisms with own mind and intelligence.
From a simple kind of physical intervention.
Yeah, from simple kind of physical intervention. And we know it happens. We have a lot of twins around. I'm talking about monozygotic twins, of course. Yeah, and there is no place in genome which would define this
be a twin.
fate, to be a twin. Exactly, because this information contains in this cellular collective which communicate by bioelectricity. And how do we know that? We know about how our brain works. Our brain consists of many neurons It's much more complicated, but
sure.
I make it simple.
Of course.
It consists of many neurons which communicate with each other using bioelectricity. So our brain gets signals from our sensors and sends bioelectrical signals to our effectors, for example, muscles or organs.
Yes.
And this way, all the process is realized. So, but function of nervous system and brain didn't appear in evolution all of a sudden. Actually, before we became neural animals, our precursors, our evolutionary precursors, didn't have any brains and didn't have any neural system. Plants don't have any neural systems, but still they can maintain this anatomical structure, and their cells communicate. How their cells communicate? They also use bioelectricity. This is ancient bioelectricity. What happened with brain and nervous system? That this bioelectrical signaling between them became very speedy. So the speed of communication increased. This is why brain was specialized during the evolution. But normal non-neuronal cells, they still communicate using bioelectricity.
Okay, so I mean, the people that sort of at least sort of follow popular genetics, or they're used to the distinction between hardware and software, talking about life. But usually, they're thinking, okay, well, the hardware is the the cell structure. It's maybe the DNA molecule, and the information. The software is the sequence. But as you noted, that the body plan is not in there anywhere.
Yep.
Those the information coding for proteins, maybe, but there's all these other kind of sources of information. So you're thinking you describe these bioelectrical signals as also software, or how do we sort of conceive of that?
Yeah, this is software. This bioelectrical communication between cells is an actual software, biological software, and this also exists not just communication, but as a memory of our body. For example, these studies have been done in Mike Slevin lab. And actually, everything what I'm saying belongs to Mike Slevin lab and his team. Where I'm
at
just...
Tufts.
At Tufts, yeah.
Yes.
Where I'm just senior staff scientist right now. Somehow, body can remember bioelectrical patterns in it. For example, the studies which have been done, planaria, this is flatworm.
Planaria.
Yeah,
okay.
Planaria flatworm,
Yes.
which normally has a single head.
Okay, right. Like most organisms with heads, it has one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but with some, and planaria has very wonderful ability to regenerate parts of its body. You can cut it half and half,
yes.
and each half of the planaria will regenerate perfect worm. Two separate worms will be there. Yeah, but it's and I think the record is something about 250 something pieces
that become
of planaria,
individual
which
worms.
become separate worms,
Wow.
separate independent worms. Yeah, but what I'm going to say about bioelectrical patterns, with some bioelectrical manipulations, planaria at some point can grow, when you cut it, it can grow the second head. So, and you can have two-headed planaria, and even three-headed planaria, and even four-headed planaria.
Wow.
Yeah, and so this information is not in
No, of
planaria
course.
genome, because genome is the same.
And so there's some memory that's retained from an event, in this case a physical event, that affected the whole organism that then passes on.
First you introduce some bioelectrical manipulations and planaria grows several heads.
Okay.
But then you cut this, let's say you cut two-headed planaria.
Right.
And what you expect, that it will grow normal planaria, because
That's what they,
you applied some bioelectricity to its precursor, but why the next regenerated form should remember that, but somehow it remembers.
Well, so it retains this.
Yeah, so it retains that.
So this is, so it's apt that you would refer to these signals as software, because it somehow retains a memory.
Yeah.
This is fascinating stuff. So the hope then is that learning how to control this can actually have very positive downstream effects, both with respect to diseases, I take it, but also longevity in general.
Yeah, exactly. If you think we're not just developing certain precise structure of our body, but we're able to maintain this structure 80 plus years. So this cellular collective works well towards maintenance of this structure. But certainly it declines with age.
Yes.
And
okay.
it manifests as many diseases, cancer, and just bad condition of physical condition of our body. But and you also may think that cells actually they come and go. Today we're not the same number of cells which existed 10 years ago, because our cells always die and grow.
Yes.
Not all, we're not talking about neurons, but the majority of cells in our body, they change with time. They are replaced.
Yeah.
And still, they being replaced, they still maintain that memory of our anatomical structure. We have almost the same face, so at least we are recognizable.
Something, yes.
Yeah.
It's somewhat different, but yes, it's still another person.
Yeah, exactly. And the hope is that what if we're able to maintain this multicellular precise pattern, not 80 plus years, but 120 plus years, 200 plus years. Yeah.
Wow.
This is the idea. Yeah.
So that aging would be in part a kind of an increase in the amount of noise relative to signal, and the hope is to be able to sort of at least find a way to slow that down or stop it from happening.
Yeah, and I know that this is a new paradigm coming from Mike's Elena Lab, and we currently study that, studying bioelectricity of aging, so in different animal models, so how bioelectrical pattern of the body changes as they age. And also we're trying to manipulate that by manipulating bioelectricity in the body. We're trying to extend the lifespan.
Wow.
And so I also have to say that we're not applying any external electrical currents. What we do, we find cells communicate bioelectrically using ion channels, for example, or gap junctions.
Yeah.
And we're looking for ways to change ion channels and gap junctions to pharmacologically or genetically to change the bioelectrical communication between them.
Wow. Elena, so we've talked a lot about your work at Tufts, but we haven't said a lot about Tiamat Labs, of which you're the co-founder. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay, Tiamat Labs is a deep tech company which is focused on creation of technological substrate for artificial general intelligence. So specifically what we do, we use live neuronal tissues, so-called 3D brain organoids, hybridize them with electronics, embed in a simulated environment, and make them to do computations. Basically, we are looking to do new generation of computer chips, which will be partially living, so hybrid computer chips. And why we think it's a good approach? You know, there is a big hope in the field of computer science now that we could learn how brain works and somehow mimic brain structure and function in silicon.
Right.
But as a neuroscientist, I can say we still don't know how brain works, and it's a long way. It's very difficult to do in silicon. What if instead of that, we harness intrinsic capacities of neuronal tissues to compute?
Right.
This is our approach.
That makes sense. I mean, why assume our bodies use carbon? Our bodies don't use silicon, so maybe there's a different way to do this.
Yeah.
Elena Sergeeva, thanks so much for joining us. Exciting stuff.
Thank you for having me. Nice to be here.
Absolutely. I wish you the best. I'm going to look forward to seeing what's happening at Tiamat Labs and Tufts University with your work. And thank you for joining us. We're here at the COSM 2023 conference in Bellevue, Washington.